Don't worry, we won't judge you.
Okay. My greatest fear is death. My greatest extravagance is clothing. My idea of perfect happiness is no anxiety.
Were you always intent on coming back and getting into
It didn't, I mean,
business?
that's, no, well, no, not necessarily. I want to be a writer since I was a little boy. I mean, like, I consider at this point, now that I have children, like, obviously it was some kind of gift, and it is a gift to know what you want to do. Right. I mean, I love movies, and I love the idea of writing for movies on some level. And what happened is that over Thanksgiving, I went to New York with my best friend, Jeremy, and he lived there. And we saw Jeremy Mindich.
Who I work with.
I know. I was going to say. I was like, I just like a name, Jeremy Mindich. Yeah. And that Thanksgiving, I saw 3 incredible movies: River's Edge, Down by Law. I mean, it was just like, I'm pretty sure that they were all around the same period, and I was like, I feel connected to this. This is very exciting.
You go to SC, you make a documentary,
yes.
right out of school. What was
No, the documentary is part of the film school.
Oh, part of your film school. What did you make a documentary about?
Well, I was in the regular film program, so what I made a movie about was about the paparazzi. Oh. And I spent 6 months outside of every event. I had one photographer who was the sort of get in a helicopter and shoot people, you know, getting out of bed in the morning and, you know, having private liaisons and all this other stuff. And then I had another photographer who was really someone who would have done it for free. I just was fascinated with like, what is our interest in show business? Is this our religion? You know, is this the only thing that we can talk about? You know, and I was scraping the surface. I mean, there's no Chateau Marmont in it. There's nothing. It's really just the hotels, the events, and then this guy flying around in a helicopter trying to get pictures of people. And that was, he doesn't come off so great.
And let's talk a little bit about The
Sure.
Sopranos, because obviously the whole world was shocked and saddened when James Gandolfini died. It's just 51 years old, just out of nowhere.
In the middle of everything, too.
Right.
I think that's sort of what's hard for people. It's, you know, you talk about ups and downs. He's really in the middle of everything, and there was some recovery required from ending that iconic role.
There wouldn't be a Don Draper if there weren't a Tony Soprano in that world. I mean, that's how I felt. But for Jon Hamm, before all of this, before all the success and all the awards and all the adulation and making stars out of your cast, no one wanted to cast Jon Hamm.
You know, I only had my gut feelings and so forth. Jon Hamm was a gut feeling. My litmus test for casting, you know, was the ending of the pilot. You see Don do quite a few heroic things in the pilot. You see that he's not a racist. Right. He's a terrible sexist. But he is sort of fighting for the underdog, and he's in a bit of a panic. And then at the end, it reveals that he's married. And my thing is, what human being am I going to find out that they're married and have children and not hate them? And I just knew in my gut that Jon was a person that I wouldn't hate. This is the miracle of the show on some level. You talk about making stars out of these people. The network let me cast these people that were not already famous, but they all had been working a long time.
Like, let's talk about this last season.
Sure.
Because I have a
bunch
of questions.
Yeah.
It was Dawn in any way in love with Sylvia? Like, let's talk about just some
I would
gossip.
love to talk about that. You know, my feeling is, I think when Sylvia rejected him, I think Dawn, in the state of rejection, of loss, becomes obsessed. And I think it's that powerlessness that turns into the obsessive love for him, and that he would at least admit who he was during the worst possible moment in the Hershey meeting.
Do you have a character that you're most attached to?
No, I don't. They're such big parts of me, all of them. They're all different aspects of my personality and people whom I love and the writers on the show.
What do we have to look forward to in the last and final season?
I think what you have to look forward to is a sense of resolution, and I feel a responsibility about where I leave it, you know, because I kind of want it to be its whole thing as a whatever 85-hour movie.
What's your drink? There's so much drinking in Mad Men. I always wonder what's Matt's drink.
I drink whiskey, and I'm a
neat.
I you know what I do? I drink it neat. I get a glass of ice, and I put a couple of ice cubes in it. There used to be this big stigma about putting ice in your scotch, and then I had a Scottish editor, Malcolm Jameson, who edited the first 3 years of the show. And I finally said to him, I go, I like it better this way. And he goes, let me tell you, it's very cold in Scotland. The Scotch is always cold. And we always put water in it because it doesn't taste like anything. You can put a drop in straight just to honor the glass.
So you have written and directed your first feature.
Yes.
Which is huge.
Yes, it's called You Are Here.
Right.
And it stars Owen Wilson and Zach Galifianakis and Amy Poehler.
Mm-hmm.
Owen and Zach are at a certain point in their age, and Zach has some adjustment issues, his character, and Owen has some adjustment issues, and they're kind of too old to be behaving this way, to be drug buddies. And, you know, I had this line at the beginning of the movie that some things don't change. And what I had here was this idea, and Owen says it in the movie, that, you know, people talk about friendship all the time. You see it on TV, no one eats alone, take each other to the doctor. But the truth is that most people are alone. And that friendship is a lot rarer than love, because there's nothing in it for anybody. My heroes are Sigmund Freud, Karl Marx, Albert Einstein. The words or phrases I most overuse are "the thing of it is," and I probably told you this already. If I could change one thing about myself, it would be to be more patient. I consider my greatest achievement to be my family.